Yes. Okay, so come to standing. And this will have a mindfulness-based aspect to it. So just lift and roll your shoulders. Breathing in, turn your head to the left. Breathing out, turn the head to the right. Into the left. And out to the right. And then come back to the centre. Lift your toes and then just reposition your toes back down onto the earth, connecting to the earth. And then breathing in, bring the hands to the heart centre and just take your gaze to the fingertips. And then breathing in, drop your hands, circle the hands up, stretch up with the third fingers, extending the third fingers, palms are facing. And then clasp the hands and reverse the hands upwards, stretching up, extension. Breathing out, go to one side, either static or just bouncing in and out. Breathing in, come to the centre and stretch up. And breathing out, go to the other side. Again, static or just bouncing in and out. Breathing in, come to the centre. And breathing out, turn to the side in a rotation movement. So again, static or just bouncing gently in and out. Come to the centre, stretch up, and breathing out, go to the other side. Come to the centre, stretch up, and just test your balance by lifting the heels. And then breathing out, lower the heels and lower the hands to shoulder height, palms down. Lifting at the chest centre, breathing in, turn your head to the left, look beyond the fingers of the third fingers of the left hand, third finger. Come to the centre of the head and breathing out, turn to the right. Come to the centre of the head and lower the arms. Lift and roll the shoulders. Clasping the hands behind your back, aim the knuckles to the ground and open the chest centre. Lift the arms away and breathing, turn to the left, come to the centre and then breathing, turn to the right. Come to the centre and optionally soften the knees, and when your head is down to where you want it to be, you can lift your hands up. Classically, you would have your hands together. That will limit your movement. If you want to have them in a wide weave apart, that's fine. Press your feet down and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. And release your hands. Lift and roll the shoulders. Breathing in, raise your right arm, stretch it up. Your left arm is down alongside you. And breathing out, turn your head to the left, away from the right arm. Stay here for an in and an out breath. When you're ready, bring your head back to centre on an in breath. And breathing out, lower the right arm back down alongside you. Lift and roll the shoulder backward. This opens the energetic pathways into the head. And then breathing in, raise the left arm, stretch it up, press the feet down. And breathing out, turn your head to the right, away from the outstretched, extended left arm. Stay here for an in and an out breath. And then breathing in, bring the head back to the centre. And breathing out, lower the left arm. Lift and roll the left shoulder back. Lift and roll the right shoulder back. And then just bring the fingertips to the clavicle, the collarbone, and where it kind of joins the shoulder. That point is called the K27, and you could just lightly tap it. It connects to your kidney energy, which is your water energy, but that's really not the correct. It connects to your vitality, your life essence. You'll find this in other disciplines, and it's very releasing for stress and distracting your attention. The point, if I haven't said, is called the K27, so it's your kidney 27 point on the meridian system. And then, just to be completely mad, the other point which is very helpful to tap, you've got to stress that because it distracts your attention, is just bringing your hands to the top of the head where the fingertips would meet almost on the fontanelles, and just very, very gently tap along there. You don't have to stay there, you can just move along. So again, a sensory aspect of movement, it's very hard to hold tension and think about things when your head's being tapped. So it becomes a mindfulness exercise, and you will come back to your thoughts, but you might reconnect to them in a slightly different way. And then just very, very gently release the hands back. There are lots of acupressure points around the body, but they're just a couple of interesting ones to lift and roll the shoulders. So this becomes a mind, a hemisphere thing. Breathing in, raise the right arm and circle the wrists in one direction. So the body is picking up left-right brain hemisphere coordination, and then rotate in the opposite direction. So it's a wrist movement, but it's also, as I said, weirdly to your brain hemisphere, and then breathing out, lower your right arm. We're going to do the same on the left side, lifting up and then circling. You'll naturally circle the first way around according to your brain dominance, and then circle in the opposite direction. And then very gently lower the arm, lift and roll the shoulders, opening the gateways. So stepping with your feet hip width apart. This is very much something you'll find in Tibetan yoga, but you'll find it in Tai Chi as well, and it works on the 5 energies of the body. So hands out, and we'll start slowly by just swirling hands to the shoulder, other hand to the back, waist, and then the other side, and then start to move a little bit more quickly. So this becomes mindfulness insofar as, again, your perspective is moving and you can't really hold stress in your body as you're swelling from side to side. In Tibetan yoga, some Tibetan rites, this is a modification of the very first movement. And it works on all the 5 energies. So they're apana at the base, samana coming up at the navel level. We've got vyana around the whole body, prana, the breath aspect, and udana, which comes from up from the chest into the throat and the head area. And all those 5 are being balanced. And then very, very gently start to slow down. And then come to a standstill. And then bring your feet together. So lift and roll the shoulders. Just come to stretch your arms up, palms together, come through the heart center and half through to the sun. Soften your knees, hands onto the shins. Press your hands into the shins as you breathe in, lengthening along the spine. Half lift. Breathe out, soften your knees and soften your elbows as you curl in. Breathe in, half lift, your back of your neck's long, and stay here as you breathe out. And as you next breathe in, soften your knees, press your feet into the ground, and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Breathing in, hands up, and breathing out, lower the hands. Lift and roll the shoulders. Hands together at the heart center, connect the palms together, circle the arms up, stretching up, palms together, come through the heart center, soften the knees, hands onto the shins, breathing in, lengthen, half lift, breathe out, soften the knees, bend the elbows, breathe in, half lift again, Slightly engaging the perineum. And then breathing out, relax here, stay as you are. When you next breathe in, soften your knees, press your feet into the ground and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. And then circle the arms up, stretch the fingers, and breathing out, lower the arms. Lift and roll the shoulders. And one last time, hands together at the heart center. Soften the knees as you circle the arms up, stretching up. Palms together. Come through the center, soften the knees. Bend the elbows, of course. Slide the hands onto the shins, half lift. Lengthening all the way along the spine, just slightly engage the perineum as you breathe in. Breathe out, soften in by bending your knees, bending your elbows bent anyway. Breathing in, half lift. Stay here as you breathe out. And then as you next breathe in, soften your knees, press your feet down, and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Hands up, and then lower the hands. So we mentioned neck and shoulder. Just lift and roll your shoulders back. A couple of things here. Open your hands out to the side, and then just hug yourself. Soften by bending forward and just slightly sway from side to side. So you're stretching out the back of your neck, but you're also stretching out the upper part of your back. Press your feet down and stand up. Open the hands out. If you can remember which hand is on top, great, then have the other one. If you don't remember, don't worry. Come forward again and just sway from side to side. Press the feet down. Stand up, arms out, and then lower. Lift and roll the shoulders. So for neck and shoulders, you said you're on your left side, so we'll start with our right side. Just step your left foot forward. You can take a wider step if you feel like it. Your foot can be further out to the left if you feel that you need more balance. Your right foot is slightly out to secure that balance. And make a gentle fist with your right hand and your thumbs outside. So we did this yesterday, which is a brilliant mind clearing neck, shoulder and eye exercise. So we start by circling the arm forward, and you're following the movement of your thumb with your eye. So if you're being very particular, you'll try and keep your hips facing forward, which I find almost impossible, but that's a thought. And just notice where your eyes, when you're jerking on your circle. If you're feeling that this is too much for your shoulder, you can always bend your elbow and then reverse your circle, so that your arms will then come to a line over your shoulders. The eyes going upwards to the eyebrows disconnects the brain from the stress centres. So it becomes mindfulness. Raising your eyes up always releases the mind from its current thought patterns, and then just release your shoulder, just lift and roll your right shoulder. And then step back with your left foot and then reverse so that your right foot comes forward. Your left foot is out to support you. And make a light fist with your left hand, your left thumb is extended. And circle forwards looking at your thumb. Again, if you're stiff on your left shoulder or you're feeling that this is an effort, then you can always bend your elbow to modify the movement to suit where you are at the moment. And then when you're ready, reverse the circle so that when we finish, your shoulders are lifted and rounded, set back to their normal position. And then just release and relax. Step your right foot back. And then just as a nod to the neck and shoulder, imagine your nose like a pencil, and imagine drawing a horizontal figure of 8 with your nose. So your hands can be relaxed or on your waist or wherever, and you'll start naturally with your figure of 8 according to your dominant side of the brain. So just start with a horizontal 8, tracing it, noting where you're stiff on one side of the neck will be more flexible than the other. Notice where you don't quite make your circle, your bottom or top 8, your horizontal 8, which side it is. You're also on this sideways movement and up and down movement of the neck, connecting into the thyroid and parathyroid at the neck level, so part of your metabolic control. And then your pineal and pituitary are also part of your master metabolic control on the up-down movement of the head. And then, if you can, think about reversing your movement of your head. So drawing your 8 the other way, and just notice how long it takes you maybe to reverse back to your normal default. The brain kind of takes over. This is a very safe neck movement because you're controlling it. You're not just flinging your head back. It's a very controlled lift of the chin. And then come to the centre. Just let that movement settle. And we're going to come to the top of our mats before we finally come into some movement on the floor for something that will be very familiar to you, but a modified salute to the sun. So Sue is not a great downward dog fan because of her wrists. So come to cat-cow alternatives are in there. So hands together at the heart centre, circle hands up, stretching up, palms together, come through the centre like you did for half salute to the sun. But this time carry on with your hands to either side of your feet and step back with your right foot. You can either bring your right foot straight down to the ground or have your right foot off the ground and then just lower your right knee to the ground. And then slide back with your left knee so that you're in tabletop. And toes can be tucked or flat. Breathing in, dipping your back, looking either up or along the mat. And breathing out, rounding, chin comes to chest. Breathing in, dipping the back. There are so many modifications. And then either, if you're not going to do downward dog, round again, chin to chest, or tuck your toes underneath, tummy engages, lower abdominal muscles engage, and come to your first downward dog. Lengthen the back first, and then begin to straighten the legs. Feel that you can adjust your feet to be wider apart and closer to your hands. And then walk the dog by bending one knee and extending the other heel, and then the other knee. And then just again, extending each heel to your own breath pattern. And then extending both heels, and then dropping the knees to the ground. And then dipping the back, rounding the back, chin to chest. Come to have knees a little bit wider apart and bring the bottom towards the heels, stretching out and extended child's pose. If you're squashing your tummy or your knees aren't good, then you can come with your bottom up a little bit. And walk your hands to the left. Right hand goes on top of the left palm, stretching out the right side. Take an in and an out breath here. And then walk your hands to the centre and over to the right with your left palm on top of your right, so you're stretching out your left side. Stretching out the intercostal muscles, your breathing, your lungs. It's a lateral stretch, and stretching out under the arms, so the upper lymphatic system. Now then walk your hands back to the centre, come to tabletop again, tuck your toes. We're going to come up to standing and back to the top of the mat, so however that works for you, but downward dog is good to come into a downward dog. Just again, walking the dog in your own breath pattern, and then begin to walk your feet to your hands to your feet. Just place your hands on your shins, half lift again. Soften your knees in and press your feet down to roll up to standing. Stretching your arms up. And then circle the wrists down. And then lift and roll the shoulders. And as we come to the left side, we're going to start by rolling the shoulders and clasping the hands behind us. Opening the shoulder blades, opening the lung meridians. And then separate the hands and slide the fingers, third finger, the tips of the fingers, down the backs of the legs. So you place your hands to either side of your feet and then step with your left foot back. You can either instantly drop your left foot to the ground or have your left foot high off the ground. Drop your left knee to the earth. Just have a sense of lengthening along the spine, so you'll feel this in the right hip, and then slide the right knee back in tabletop. Feet are either tucked or flat. Just sway your bottom from side to side. And then start to look over your shoulder as you're swaying. So the instruction would be as your hips go one way, your head goes the other, but there's no instruction here. Just go with what works with you. And imagine if you were a fish and you were looking down on top of the fish, how a fish swims. So it's just a side-to-side movement. Your heart's parallel to the ground, so very restful for the heart. And your back is very protected because you're being supported and held by the earth by both your knees and hands. So then come to puppy pose. So your bottom stays up in the air and you stretch out your hands along the earth. Your forehead may or may not touch the ground. It's an upper back stretch, stretching under the arms, the upper lymphatic system. Just stay for a breath in and out here. And then bring the left arm across the front of your body, stretching out the right arm, so that becomes quarter dog. Your bottom is still up, and you may rest your forehead on your left forearm. Just here, still engage your perineum. So in this sequence it's slightly different, but again, do what you're used to doing. So here, in this sequence, you breathe in and engage your perineum. Often other traditions do it the opposite way around. So if that's confusing you, it's just an additional, optional extra, just do what feels right. And then slide your right arm back across your body, your forearm on the ground, and extend your left arm, so it's your quarter dog on the left side. Stretching out the left side, the intercostal muscles, so you're increasing your lung capacity basically. And then just very, very gently slide the left arm back. Come to tabletop again. As you dip your back, looking up or along the mat, then round it chin to chest. And now, as you dip your back, stay with your back dipped and just bend your elbows and straighten them again, and you'll feel that on your lower abdominal level. You can try that again, just a narrow dip at the elbows and then straighten them. And with your bottom up and away from you, we're going to practice a Shvini Mudra. So this is tensing your bottom, but you can actually focus on the perineum a little bit better here and release. Tense and release. It focuses on the peristalsis movement, so it's toning your inner pelvic, inner digestive organs, toning your inner self. So you'll see horses do this. So tense and release, and tense and release. And then round your back, chin to chest. And just a couple of cat-cows in your own time, your own breath pattern. warming the spine, just flexing through everything. And then come to sliding your hands towards your knees as you kneel up. I'm going to face you, you can see what I'm doing. There is support, of course, if your knees are dodgy, but raising your hands up, take hold of your right wrist with your left hand and just come over to the left, looking forward or up, depending on where your neck is today. And then come to the centre and take your right, hold your left wrist with your right hand and come over to the centre, looking forward up. And then hands out to the side, just come forward, and for a moment, bring your hands into fists, so as if you're coming into a very modified child, you're not coming too far forward. Just reversing that back movement. And then press your hands down to lift yourself up, drop to the side, and come to have your feet out in front of you. Flesh out from under the bottom, so in Dandasana. So Dandasana, you would normally have your hands, fingers pointing forward. That can be slightly formal, so just have your hands wherever works for you. And just bounce your legs and rub your, almost like dry skin brushing, either rub or pat your legs, or a combination of both. We've all got preferences as to what works for us. And you can do your shoulders, you can tap anywhere, just really waking up the body system. And then just very gently come to have your hands to either side of you, and coming to the feet, extend the toes upwards and then toes away a couple of times, and waking up circulation. And then just circle the ankles in one direction, and circle the ankles in the opposite direction. And then something you'll find in Kundalini, just bring the big toe joints together. It sets up a vibration in the body, which is the opposite of stagnation, which is helpful for one's health. It's really weird because it actually goes up to the head, although you're not aware of that, you're just aware of the vibration.
This thing the paper yesterday about they were giving old people in old age pensions in homes, vibrating discs to put their feet on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they say it just livens them up, no way. Just gets all the vibration.
It won't be too lively.
No.
Not that lively.
Only sitting down.
Yes.
But if you think about it, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Apparently it's really good.
Well, in Kundalini yoga,
Stimulation.
which I flirt with occasionally, you do it about 50 times. And it's very easy, and you get your own rhythm, and very weird, and very helpful for your body energy flow and your emotional energy flow. And then just release, perhaps evert, invert, so just either side a little bit, that moves them in a slightly different way. And then just pick up your left knee, just hug your left knee into your chest. This is for the knee joint, so drop your hands underneath your left thigh, clasping your hands, and just swing your legs. So again, if you're seated for a long time, this is a great lubrication for the synovial fluid of the knee. And then if you're able to open your knee out to the left, your foot can be balanced on your right leg or on the floor even, just so that you're not uncomfortable. And take your hand and manually hold your left foot with your right hand and circle it. So in something called Palmamukstana, the anti-rheumatic movement, because we all have joint issues as we get older, this is meant to be much more releasing for the joint than actually circling your ankles. and then circle the other way. And then you might or might not love this, I don't know. Just take your fingers, hold your big left toe with your right hand and just circle the big toe. This relaxes your head. Sue's a reflexologist, so she'll tell you that the big toe relates to the head.
Stimulates your brain.
So your creativity, so just over there is also the brain, and just to slightly
The
pull.
brain reflexes across the top of the big toe.
And just pull, and then your second toe, if you can bear it, and pull. Third. So you're going into your eyes and your ears, aren't you? Inner and outer ear, outer and inner. And then your little toe. And if you can't stand to thread your fingers through your toes, so just put your hands over your feet. But if you can thread your fingers through your toes, then just move your toes backwards and forwards a few times. And then don't use your hands at all, but do the same movement using your feet, as long as you don't get cramped, so your feet are doing much more work. And then release that. Get your right hand into a fist with your knuckles, and with the knuckles just rub your sole of your foot. And again, if there's any part of your body, I think you said your shoulder or your neck was stiff. So where's the neck and shoulder reflex points to?
Well, your neck is at the base of your big toe, and then your shoulder is on the outside here, so underneath. So it's the first, if you go to your little toe, and then the first sort of lump as you come down, part of your, of the sole of your foot. So you might, if you, depending on which side of your neck is, you might find it hurts a bit more when you push it. So which side is your neck hurting?
Well, to be honest, both sides, but this
Oh,
one at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so you might find this side, the left side, just a little bit more sore when you. So can you see the point that I'm touching there?
I'm just sitting with my knuckles.
Yeah,
Oh,
you could
here.
do it with your fingers. It's easier with your
Yeah.
fingers actually there, because you can be more specific. So then you can just. So that's all the shoulder. So just see how that compares with doing it on the other side. It just sometimes just helps sort of. It's supposed the reflex points are supposed to release the energy in the body.
So then just hug your left knee into your chest. You can bring your left foot out a little bit, because we're going to be sitting up with the back, holding the left knee with the right hand, left hand behind you, and just lengthening the body as you breathe in, breathing out, turning over your left shoulder a little bit. Your head is the last thing to turn. Your right foot is extended at the heel to activate the leg. And so it's a rotational movement. And then when you're ready, come back to the centre, support your left knee to straighten the leg out. Just counter pose by sliding the hands down the shins, just a very light, semi-half forward movement, calming for the nervous system. You're activating the vagus nerve as the chin comes into the chest. And then slide your arms up and hug your right knee into your chest. Extend your left heel. And then just drop your hands underneath your right thigh and just very gently sway your right knee. The knee is a hinge joint, so it doesn't have a lot of movement options. But the synovial fluid, because if you think your leg, in order to work, it's got to go through the knee. For everything, the energy to go down to your feet, it's got to go through the knee. So moving the synovial fluid is really quite helpful. And then supporting the right knee to hold the right leg, opening it out to the right. If that's too much here, then just put your foot down to be comfortable. And then the same, just you holding your right foot with your left hand, just circle your ankle, your right ankle, one way and then the other way. Energy, toxins, stress, depending on your constitutional type and the time of year, can often accumulate at a joint, so the spine or the neck or the shoulders, and it's hips. It's always the joint is the weakest point. and it's toxins which then accumulate. So something like arthritis, then it can, where the joint's not moved properly, it can accumulate in little crystalline things. So moving the joints like this is very helpful. But it's not everybody has that. And then again, either have your hands over if you cannot bear to thread your fingers through, but if you can thread your fingers through, or just maybe start by circling the big toe and just pulling, and then going to thread your fingers, that's quite good. It's just pulling, which is the same on the hand, releases energy trapped in the joint, so it just stops arthritis accumulating if you were that way inclined. And then thread your fingers through, and then just you can circle as well, circle the other way, and then just let your fingers go limp and let your toes do the work. That's so much harder. And then again, either make fists or rub your insole, or if you wanted to focus again on your shoulder and your head. As per
Just
Sue.
see how it feels. So you've got the, just, you can't see from there, just this bit on your foot, just see how it, on the outside, if you, see if it feels, if you press it, feels any different from the other side. Or maybe not if your whole neck hurts, it might just all feel the same. Yeah.
So your hands also are reflexology points, so reflect the feet. But before we do that, just hug the right knee into the chest, sit up, hold the right knee with the left hand, and then right hand behind. You can put your right foot out more to the side, extend your left heel, lengthen the body and turn to the right. Lengthen the body and turn to look over the right shoulder. And then very, very gently come back to the centre, support your right leg, stretch it out, and then just slide your hands down. You're compensating for the rotation, just coming forward, calming for the nervous system. And then sliding the hands up, and I mentioned the hands reflect the feet. So a similar sort of thing would be on your hands, so just circling and pulling your hands, and your shoulder then would be replicated on the same.
Yes, on the outside.
On the
I mean,
outside.
reflexology doesn't work as well on your hands because your feet are mainly covered up, so they're not getting all the different pressure points touched all the time, whereas your hands constantly are, so they're not so sensitive to reflexology as the feet are.
So
Here.
Yes, if you just be on the out, that's the shoulder, and then the neck really is more on the, what the big toe would be the thumb, the base there, so they don't look as if they're connected, but it's,
then just we're going to come to lying with knees bent and feet hip width apart. So this comes into something called somatic movement. And we're just going to start with a breath exercise, increasing our nitric oxide. So knees bent, feet hip width apart, maybe a bit wider, just be comfortable. Hands just rest on the abdomen and the elbows are out to the side. And as you breathe in, breathe out through your mouth, your breath pattern. You're increasing your nitric oxide, which has many health benefits. Boosting your immune system, relaxing your muscles. Your body, your neck, back, shoulders are beginning to relax. The earth is holding you. If you've got spasm in your back or anything, it can take longer. And then you've got an option to keep your hands where they are. Just maybe subtly let your feet widen towards the edge of the mat. Your hands can stay where they are on your tummy, your abdomen, your navel area. They can rest palms down alongside you, Or if you particularly feel like stretching out, you can raise your hands above you, maybe holding your wrists or just opening your arms. Just be comfortable. We're going to just let both knees drop to the right and the left hip will lift off the ground. And just stay here for an in and an out breath. When you're ready, bring both knees back to upright and then let both knees drift over to the left. The wider your feet, the more in this case, your right knee would drop to the centre. And how far you let your knees drop to the left is up to you. Your right hip can really lift off the ground. Engage your perineum in to connect you to bring your knees upright. And then start to sway your knees from side to side to your own breath pattern. And choose a hand movement that's good for you. You're now massaging on the top of your bottom, which is another major acupressure point. In other traditions, like Pilates, you'd have a tennis ball underneath that bottom area. And it's called the GB30, which is confusing because like the kidney energy is your vital essence and vitality, and GB is gallbladder. But your gallbladder controls all kinds of other aspects, your emotions, connects very much to anger and frustration. And you're very much now connecting to the sensation of the bottom being massaged, the lower back, the sacral area being massaged. And as you've got the flow of the knees moving from side to side, you can optionally bring your head in. So classically in yoga, the knees would go to the right and the head would turn to the left. But if you find that you naturally go the other way around, that's absolutely fine. And the essence of somatic movement, which adapts very well to somatic yoga, is that you're focusing on the sensation of the movement, and that disconnects the brain from thought and stress centres. And so it very much becomes a mindfulness practice, but you're also balancing the base of your spine with the top, the neck and the shoulders really well. And as the ground is holding you, the body's not being asked to support you, so you're releasing that tight hold. Any tenseness perhaps in maybe your neck or shoulder area is being invited to let go. You're connecting to some acupressure points on the back of the head as the head rolls or moves from side to side. And again, it's very hard to carry stress thoughts when you're in this type of movement. And then very gently come to have the knees central. Maybe move your feet closer towards your bottom, and this time bring your hands palms down and just begin to flatten the back in a pelvic tilt. So the back flattens to the ground, you lift your bottom up, and then you reverse that so that your tailbone moves towards the earth and there's a little gap under your lower back area. So you're massaging over and around your lower spine, up and down. Moving again to your own breath pattern. And next time you flatten your back as if you're lifting your bottom off the ground, actually do lift your bottom off the ground, pressing your feet down. Your chin will come in slightly to your chest, and we come into a half bridge by raising the elbows bent above you. You can stretch the arms out and keep them bent. Chin comes to the chest, feel that your knees aren't splaying out, someone's holding your legs. And then as you breathe out, lower your vertebrae back down to the earth, vertebra by vertebra. And almost at the end of your breath, you can lower your arms back down alongside you. Hug one knee and then the other knee into the chest, so both knees hug into the chest. Soles of the feet go to the ceiling, palms together through the V. And if you're strong in your neck, you can breathe out, lifting your head up to look to your thumbs between that V. Release the head and neck back down to the ground. Hug the knees into the chest. And then place both feet on the ground and palms come back down alongside you. Flattening the back to the ground again, lifting up into half bridge, pressing the feet in, optionally lifting the arms up, chin comes into the chest, half shoulder, half bridge, and then breathing out, lower the back down to the ground, vertebra by vertebra. Your arms will follow half or 3/4 of the way through the breath. Hug the knees into the chest, soles of the feet to the ceiling again, extend the heels, palms together through the V. Either stay like this, or if you feel strong enough, either lift your head up. If your head or neck's hurting, drop your hand behind your head and neck and lift your head up, supported by your hand. Head comes back down to the ground, bend the knees in, and this time just very gently rock from side to side. You can almost rock it over onto your backs of your arms. And then hugging the knees into the chest, still hold them as you let the knees drift away to arm's length. Hugging the knees into the chest, and just let them drift away to arm's length. And a few more times in your own breath pattern, hugging in and letting them drift away. So you're massaging over particularly the lumbar vertebra and the L4 and L5. Those are the vertebrae that pick up all the heavy duty work, lifting and moving. You're working on your apana energy, which is the foundational energy, and if the apana's out, everything's out. So you're working on the very fundamental, basic rebalancing energy. If you've got any energy, if you've got any pain in your body, the energy that's out is the apana energy. This connects in yoga, Ayurveda, to the Vata dosha, which links into the elements of wind and ether, air and ether. And its seat is said to be in the lower abdominal area. So we're balancing Vata, any pain in the body. Very soothing, letting the blood travel to the head along the spine, soothing for the lower back. And then make the next one the last one, supporting the legs underneath, bring the feet back down to the ground. And in your own time, we're going to come to a seated position. So rolling to the side, so yogically you roll to the right, away from the heart, but however you want to come to a seated position is absolutely fine. To come to cross-legged if that works for you, if it doesn't work for you, then come to however works for you. And we come into some somatic movement of the head. So bringing the hands to either side of the head in the opening Reiki sequences. Again, hard to hold tension when you're connecting to your head like this. Chin is slightly down, so that the back of the neck's long. A couple of breaths here. I'm not going to spend very long here. We're going to keep the head slightly down as you move. It doesn't matter which hand. One hand to the occiput at the back of the head, and one hand to the forehead. And just press lightly. So again, you're aware of sensation and feeling, movement. Hard to think when you are connecting like this. And then you keep the hand at the forehead, but you drop the hand at the back of the head to the heart. And you'll find that you sit up a little bit more, so you're lifting at the chest, which is anti-depressing and uplifting for the mood. And then you take your hand at the forehead and drop it to the navel. Again, your chest is still lifting. So feel that between the navel and the heart there's a ribbon or a cord or a light that's not bent. It's not taut, but it's not bent. And then either stay like this or bring both hands to the heart. Chin slightly drops to the chest, and take a moment to have a thought for the day, your sankalpa. Mentally repeating that a couple of times to set the intention for the day. It can be for yourself, it can be somebody close to you, it can be for a world thought. And then let that thought go, the intention's been set for the day. And then for your own self, just imagine yourself wrapping yourself in cotton wool And with a colour of your choice today, so like an auric egg of cotton wool protection, wishing yourself a very lovely day ahead. And then let that thought drift. And then bring yourself, open your eyes to come upwards. Thank you. And then as